Greetings, my vintage Christmas lighting friends. I'm doing yet another video. This is a pretty basic one. A lot of this has been covered by other people. I just thought maybe I would take it another step further and try to give you a little less grainy of a video. My good friend has a testing video out that's a bit on the grainy side. Anyway, so I thought I'd do an updated version and maybe go just a tad deeper into it. This video is about testing old C6 Christmas lights. That's what this is. This is a C6 light socket. It's actually smaller than what a lot of people are used to seeing, which is C7. This is C7 or candelabra base. This is C6 or miniature base, not to be confused with mini lights. The actual terminology is miniature base, and definitely not to be confused with the super large C9 or outdoor or intermediate base socket. Okay, so there you are. Here we're going to show people how to test light bulbs, and I'm going to do this part really fast so that people who just want to learn how to do C6 lights can get out of the video and stop watching it if they don't want to watch further. So what you do is you take a 9-volt battery, the kind that you would normally put in a smoke detector. It's the rectangular kind. It has the negative here and the positive here on the top, as you can see marked on my battery, positive, negative. And all you have to do, with most light bulbs, it doesn't really matter. You just touch the bottom lead, which is this little piece of metal down here, onto one, lean it over, and touch the screw part onto this side right here. And there you go. And you see it lights it. The reason we can do that is because these are 15-volt light bulbs and this is 9-volt or 10-volt, right? 9-volt, 9-volt battery. So it lights it, but not at full brightness. It's sort of at a somewhat dim. So you touch, lean, and look, there it goes. It lights up. This can also be done with figural lights, like this cool little guy here. And he cool. I love him. Anyway, and look, you put it on, and look, you see how he lights up? So you could do it with C6 figural lights. You could do it with funky C6 plastic lights like that. You see how it lights up? Look at that. And that's how you can test. Look, even bubble lights. This one's called a Spark L bubble light by Reliance. You touch it and lean it, and voila, it lights. Now, don't think you're going to get it to bubble on this because 9-volt is pretty low. Okay, all right, so I've done that. For people who want to get into collecting bubble lights, see, now here's where I get really stupid anal. Okay. You'd be better served getting a continuity tester. This one is by Gardner Bender. I hate to tell you, most of these are found at Ace Hardware. And they're pretty cheap. This is like $7 or $8, I think, maybe $6 to $7. I'm not sure, but it's pretty cheap. And it comes with this long pointy point thing on it, which you can see. I took a grinder wheel and I ground that off because I carry this in my pocket when I'm out flea marketing and yard selling, so that I can test any light bulb, and that means any light bulb at this point. This just simply checks for continuity. So essentially, it takes power and runs it up and through the light bulb, checking that the actual filament is not broken. So here's that. Remember that C9, that outdoor light? You can use it like this. Put it on the bottom, lean it over, and the unit lights up, not the light bulb. See how the unit lights up? That tells me that this is a good and working light bulb. Let's try it with the C7. You just touch it on and lean it over, and there you go. That shows that working. One of the reasons you would like to have one of these rather than a battery is for very antique light bulbs. This light bulb is well over 100 years old. It's what we in the business call, or the collector field call, a carbon filament light bulb. These are early. These are before they turned everything over to tungsten filaments. These are early carbons, and the rating on them was up and down and all over the board. The resistance was different between light bulb and maker, and all the different various makers. So if you try to light this on a 9-volt battery, it doesn't light. And if you do try to do it, oh, you can see it. You see it right there? It's got a small horseshoe looking thing. It did do it, and it caught it for just a brief second. But the problem is, this doesn't always work for carbon filaments, because you'll test it and it won't light. Oh, darn it, I had it lit. And now, and you see why trying to use a 9-volt battery on a carbon is really a bad idea, because it doesn't always test positive. But it did light. Did you guys see it? Anyway, I saw it. It's like a long horseshoey kind of thing. So here, look, on this, there you go. Look, I'm touching the bottom, and I'm touching it on there, and it works. This one does, this is a tiny little carbon. It's really cute. Look, and I might be able to get this one to light. See, look, you see the little glowing filament in the middle? Hold on. It's hard to do this. Hold it and keep it together all at the same time. But you see the little glowing filament? That's a carbon filament. And so fortunately, this one does work. But again, you're better served having a Gardner bender, which shows you that it is working and that it has continuity. This one, again, is another carbon, and I don't think it's going to light where you can see it. I happen to know that this one works. I'm spinning it. You don't really see it, but if you had a Gardner bender while you were out buying your light bulbs, you could just test it like that. So there you go. Again, for the people at the beginning of the video who are only concerned with, does this filament work? They can just use a 9-volt battery for certain things. You also have to remember, I just want to remind people too, as my final word, okay? Sometimes you may find figurals, especially little midget-sized ones, really tiny, like that big. See how big this guy is? This guy's huge. But I'm talking about, so from here to like here, little Santa Clauses. Do not use those, do not use a 9-volt. Those are battery operated, and they're only 3-volt, and a 9-volt will blow them out. You will also often find a milk glass round ball that has a skeleton crossbones on it, like a skull and crossbones on it. That too is a low voltage. So just because we're showing you how to use this, it's not always a good idea for all of, especially the figurals. You know, they even made cone lights that were low voltage. So even though I'm showing you this, it's always best to try to carry a 9-volt battery, right, that is a little bit worn down, because you only need a couple of volts to actually get these lights to work. And that way, if you stumble on a low voltage light bulb, you'll be able to tell. The one thing you need also as a light bulb collector is a loupe that you can use to look at your light bulbs up close and read the voltage. You know, I had to get ones where the voltage was painted over with but if you look, you'll see that they say 15 volt. Anyway, maybe the blue one might be a little easier to read. GE, and then right there, USA. And can we see the 15 volt? I'm not sure. It'll say 15, 14, 16 volt on many of your light bulbs. And so, again, the 9-volt is good, especially for later things like this and figural bulbs like this, okay? Especially the bigger ones, you know those are 15 volt. But just be careful always using that 9-volt battery. Continuity tester is the way to go. It's Gardner bender. As you can see, I've jury-rigged this so it can be in my pocket. Look, it's got a little clip on it. Look, See how alligator clip opens? Um, and I don't like all that wire hanging loose and get hung on stuff. So I took it here. Let me take it apart for you folks in the video. You're always so nosy. You got to know everything. And you see it's got this long wire, but there's no point in having it like this because that makes it hard and fumbly to try to test it now, you know. You could try, but unfortunately this socket isn't quite big enough. Let's see if it'll clip on to the side. There it is. So you could use it like this, where you clip it on, and then you take the pointy part. Gosh, this thing is running away from me. And then touch it here like that. Like, where is it? Like that. And there you go. And it'll still light the unit. But I like to just do it the way you saw the way I had it. I used to tape it up, but now I just bundle this up, the wire, into a nice little mess together, and then I just use a rubber band, or I like the stringy stuff that I get from work. Anyway, to put on it here. Gosh, I am really fumbling here. Okay, here, 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 and here, and now it's ready to go, where the metal and you can kind of push them if you need them, to just go ahead and do your testing. You always sort of put the one that sticks out the most out, and again, gosh, boy, now that I've done this, it doesn't want to work right for the video, of course. See, look, I gotta push that up further, and now you just touch the bottom and the side, and there you go. Okay, anyway, that's the end of the testing video. I've even covered the antique carbons. Carbons are better tested with something like a continuity tester because they do not always light up. If you're gonna try to light a carbon, an early carbon or exhaust tip, this is called the exhaust tip up here, light bulb, on a battery, do it in a dark room, like almost pitch black. And you might just vaguely see that. You see how that really doesn't, look at that, how vaguely lit it is. You see it? And it just went out because I moved it a little bit. Okay, all right, so there you go. Testing light bulbs, C6. There you go. Especially C6. Oops, I'm back. I forgot. There's a few little points I didn't tell you about that I thought I would conclude with. So I decided to come back and do a little second part to this video. Hopefully it won't be that long. Okay, the one thing I forgot to mention was when you're testing these old exhaust tip carbon light bulbs, like the ones I showed you earlier, in many cases, many cases, in fact, you will find them with this horrible corrosion on them. The corrosion will often keep you from being able to test them. It may test well enough on the continuity tester. Let's just see. You see, even on the continuity tester, it doesn't appear that it's really going to see there. Because if you notice, this part right here is actually touching the other contact. But if you get it to where, look, where it's touching the corrosion, it may not always test. So when you're going to try to test these, you may not always have something out in the wild, but you can always clean them with some steel wool. That'll help get rid of that corrosion. In these early antique light bulbs like this, they used really higher quality metals and brasses, and there were mixtures of other metals and alloys put in that would really cause a lot of corrosion over time. Now, as you can see, look at that. I brought that up to nice and clean. It's still dirty down in the grooves, but for this purpose, it should test really well. Yeah, well, you know, it's really hard to do this with the camera and do this at a distance. But here, let's try it again. There. Okay, so that proves that this does work. I know you'd all love to see it work. So I'm going to show you another little testing thing, because I thought, you know, the first part was for just showing dealers who get their hands on a bunch of C6 lights how to just test on a 9-volt light bulb. But now we're getting dweeby, and we're getting deep into all the other lights and different kinds of ways of testing. So this is an invaluable tool here. I got to unplug it first so I can show it to you. This is a variable power supply. Okay, as you can see, it can be set at 12 volt, 9 volt, 7.5, 6, 4.5, and 3 volt. And you can use this. And what I've done here, I'm going to plug it into the power source way over here. Look, see it. Gosh, I have to bring it all the way over here like that. Plug it in. And what I've done with mine, you'll see, I'll show it to you. It's going to look a little confusing, but I cut the end off because it just had one pole on it, I think. And what I did was I attached a 3 electrical plug on to the two, the positive and the negative wires here. As a result, I can now plug in all these different attachments that I've made to go with it. So, for starters, look at that. I have a single C6 socket that comes off, and for that wonderful light bulb that you didn't get to see light after I cleaned it, let's see what happens now. We'll get to see it lit. Maybe I'll turn off that light so it's a little darker. And what do I have it set at? Oh, well, you can see it. It is lit. See, look. You see the filament in there? Here, watch it go out when I undo it. You see how it went out? And there it is. It's, again, carbons light very dimly. 90% of them do. So testing these is always going to be hard, these carbons. They're always going to be super hard. Here's another one that had a bunch of corrosion on it. But let's just try it and see what it does. I currently have the power control set all the way up at 12%, which is pretty high. But considering these are 15-volt light bulbs, it's not that high. Let's just see if that'll light. Yep, look at that. So that worked, even though there was corrosion on it. Again, a quick spin. You can also use a wire wheel on a Dremel. That'll really take care of this super fast. Just be careful that you don't get the wire wheel hitting onto the paint of some of these earlier light bulbs. You want to kind of keep that paint clean. So anyway, as you can see, I have it set on 12. Now, you wonder, well, what are the uses do you have for this? Well, I created this, all right? So this goes and it plugs in here, okay? And this allows me to test things like mini light bulbs. So look at that. Oh, yep. I have it too high. It should be on 6 volt, I think, because I believe the light bulbs I brought up to show you are 6 volt. But here, as you see, I'm touching the bottom on the one metal and the other one on the other one. And look at that. So the other good thing about having a unit like this is, and just so you know, I'm so super dweeby. I have a second unit too that I made. And here's the second unit, but it's all wound up on something. But here it is. It's a midget screw socket for midget light bulbs. So look. Now I can test by doing this and just plug it in and do this. And if you're like me and you shop all the time for light bulbs, you may get yourself a bag of these mini screw lights and you have no idea what voltage it is. Well, when it comes to midgets, you need to know what the voltage is. So now, with this unit, look, you can start at the lowest if you want, and you can screw it in and go, oh, well, it's not 3 volt. That's not bright enough. And then you can take it up to 4.5. Well, it might be 4.5, but 6, that gets it to super hot. So guess what? This is a 6 volt light bulb that was meant probably for a 20 light midget set, okay? I have other ones here too. Let's see. And let's see, yep, there, oh, see, that's too bright. So I'm thinking maybe 4 volt for that. Yeah, that's probably a 4 volt light bulb there, okay? So anyway, the good thing is that if you do get a bag of these light bulbs, you know, like these right here, okay, it will allow you to test them. Also, the reason I made this unit here, okay, like this, with a metal tab here and a metal tab here. I just made that out of aluminum. I cut out of an aluminum soda can, and then I just screwed it. So I screwed the bare wires to it and the bare wires to it. Yeah, I know that one's a little bit too bare, but if you have push-in light bulbs, you can test them that way too. Also, of course, the best way to test midget light bulbs is, of course, with the Light Tester Pro, Light Keeper Pro, which I also have always handy here. And a lot of people don't know how these things work, but they're really good. This unit right here is where you shove a socket on and you start hitting the gun like this. And if one of the shunts of the set doesn't work, boom, it'll light it, okay? Where's the tester? This up here is for push-in light bulbs. You can push it in, and if it's working, your light bulb will light there. These Light Keeper Pros are really great. And they're also good for tracing electricity in a line. So you can go like that, and you can trace to see where electricity goes and stops. So anyway, I think now I've covered everything and I've showed you everything. And boy, didn't I make a mess here. Unfortunately, I have a second one of these units too. This is the one you're probably going to see, the power supply you'll see more commonly is this one. I just don't like this one. I don't know why. It's got this weird switch here and everything. But the cool thing about this one is, hold on, if I can ever get to the end, it does have a multitude of ends, and I've got it's just all entangled into my other one. Let me see if I can get it apart and get rid of that, so now you can actually see it. So it has an end like this, which you can use this for just about anything. And then this is really nice in case you do need to test like a carbon light bulb. You could set it on 12 and try to test it that way. So there's another multi-supply power supply that could be of big help. Anyway, I think that's it. If you have any more questions, you can always post them in the comments. Well, many people do, and I answer them. I pay attention to what people ask. The other thing you can do is join my Facebook group. I have a Facebook group for all Christmas lighting people called Collectors of Antique, Vintage, and Modern Christmas Lights. And there are several other groups too. There's a really good one for people who like bubble lights called Bubble Light Enthusiasts. So you might want to check that page out as well. Anyway, I'll put that in the notes at the bottom of the video so you can get an idea of where to go on Facebook. You know, we have a huge community there. We have a bunch of people on our page, and they're all some form of expert in what they collect. So anyway, hope to see you there and enjoy this.